Growing up in America, I never felt any pressure to be skinny, or at least not skinnier than I already was. Of course, the early 2000s, you had Paris Hilton-esque beauty as the standard, but by 2010, you saw that all start to change.
Well, you know I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. Single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, now put your hands up.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I ain't no size 2, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. Cause I got that boom boom that all the boys chase, and all the right junk in all the right places.
The biggest superstars were Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, Adele. This new form of woman was coming into the mainstream, and I felt like by the time I got to high school, okay, the standard of beauty wasn't fat, but it hadn't been skinny for a long time either. Just like girls would get made fun of, unfortunately, for being overweight, girls would also get made fun of for being underweight. And so I feel like the target that everybody was trying to achieve when I was in high school was a very athletic build, thicker thighs, because having no ass was a problem. In America, I only knew one person in my whole life that had some kind of noticeable eating disorder. I'd been in class with her for 11 years, and then suddenly one day I looked at her and I realized that her pants were falling off of her waist and you could see her hip bones jutting out. Luckily, I've seen this person on Facebook recently and it seems that she's back to a healthy weight, and I hope that she sorted out all of her problems, but that was really the only time that I ever came in contact in real life with somebody that had an eating disorder. When I was in high school, when people talked about changing their bodies, they would either talk about changing it through exercise or doing some kind of physical activity or going the plastic surgery route. But this whole idea of dieting was very, very new to me. Even veganism was still pretty new when I was in high school. Dieting as a way to lose weight, it wasn't what my generation did. That was like the old housewives. That was so 90s. Anorexia, what? Things changed when I came to Italy though. New country, new culture, new standards of beauty. What I've taken up as the beautiful woman in Italy, or the standard woman that both men and women seem to idealize, is that she's tall, she's skinny. You can take that for what it is. This standard is very different from what I've seen like elevated in American media and American beauty ideals. When I think of American beauty ideals, I think of a curvier woman, maybe not fat, but definitely not skinny. I think of maybe brunette hair, probably racially ambiguous. I feel like that's the mold that American women are trying to fit into, but certainly like it's different. Even though I didn't consume much Italian media, Italian TV, where you see a lot of this standard perpetuated, I still had all of these other pressures around me pushing this kind of image onto me. Growing up doing sports, I never thought about what I was eating that much in terms of calorie intake, because I could eat whatever amount of food I wanted to eat, and then after school there was always practice where you would burn all the calories off. I had such a healthy regime in terms of like working out. I'd never thought about what I was eating. Whereas I came here and suddenly every meal that I had with my friends, all of my friends were on some sort of diet. All of my friends were restricting their meals in some way. Okay, maybe like one or two weren't, but most of them were, especially my Italian friends. And it was very different. The kind of people that I was coming into contact with were very different. I live in Milan, the fashion capital of the world, and all around me there are people that look like and are literally supermodels. Whereas, I'm from Norwich, Connecticut, and most of the people around me were just, normal people. When I went to university, I saw the different features were really appreciated more, and I saw a larger quantity of girls fitting those features. Like, many girls were fulfilling the tall, slender look. So anyways, the main difference between my university friends and my high school friends, I guess I could say that here everybody was on a diet all the time. And little by little, their habits started to affect me, of course, especially like if you're studying with people, if you're eating with people all the time, and all of them are doing something and you're the only one not, you're going to start adopting their habits, not necessarily the other way around. And so before I knew it, essentially what I would eat per day would be like a salad for lunch, and that's it. I already told you guys I don't eat breakfast pretty much. So I'd have a salad for lunch and then maybe a half portion of gluten-free pasta for dinner. And I don't even have celiac disease. It's just a thing that people were doing here in Milan for a while. I think people actually are still doing it. They replace their regular pasta with gluten-free pasta, in the sense thinking that it's somehow more healthy or it's going to make them lose weight, when in actuality, unless you're gluten intolerant, not eating gluten is actually very bad for you. I guess you could say that being pushed by certain societal pressures and the constant fat American rhetoric, before I knew it, I had these unhealthy eating habits where I was really restricting my diet in hopes of looking like that. Today, I still can't put my finger on it. It's not like I ever said, oh my God, I'm fat. I just said that I don't look like that and I want to look like that. I think that the big joke on me was that even though I was restricting my diet into all these crazy lengths, I don't think I know I didn't ever significantly lose weight from that. What would end up happening is I would have periods where I was essentially starving myself, and then other periods where I would eat like a pig, and my weight stayed more or less exactly the same, luckily. Eating disorders are a huge issue all around the world, but I just feel like here in Italy, it's not something that, it's this quiet monster, it's this quiet elephant in the room. Like, I've seen more instances of it here in front of me, face to face here in Milan, in a few years than I've ever seen in my whole life back home. And the difference is, even though it wasn't very common back home, people still knew it existed, people still acknowledged it. I grew up watching Dr. Phil treat anorexic patients on national television, whereas here it's like, hush hush, you don't talk about it. It's widely acknowledged that unhealthy eating habits that lead to weight gain is not okay in Italy, but nobody wants to talk to somebody that has unhealthy eating habits that lead to weight loss. The number one killer of young people, both in Italy and in USA, is vehicular accidents. Dying in a car crash is the number one killer of young people. In America, the number 2 and number 3 killers of teens is homicide and suicide, and these fluctuate on whether they're 2 and 3. The number 2 killer of young people in Italy after car crashes is anorexia. In 2016, over 3,000 people died due to anorexia in Italy, and every year there are over 8,000 new cases reported of anorexia. This isn't even talking about the people that don't acknowledge that they have an eating issue or won't report that they have an issue. These are reported numbers. It's been noted that around 3 million people in Italy have anorexia or some sort of eating disorder, and 2 million of the 3 million are people between the ages of 12 and 22, I believe, young people. To put that into perspective for you, the largest city in Italy has less than 3 million people. 3 million people suffering with a disease is huge. So what changed for me? Essentially, my life changed. I graduated. I was no longer with all the girls that were dieting all the time, and it was like out of sight, out of mind. If I'm not surrounded by people that are adopting these eating habits, I don't feel the pressure to adopt these eating habits. Also, me and Enrico moved in together, and Enrico is a huge food lover. He has a huge passion for cooking, and he's taken it upon himself to do all the cooking in the house. And so when you have 2 to 3 whole healthy meals sitting in front of you every day, you tend to eat them, and so my eating habits got better through that. Working helped a lot as well, because having a really regulated 9 to 5 schedule, it really controls how much you can eat, how little you can eat, because if you eat a little bit at lunch, you're going to be dying and unproductive by the evening time. You can't, I'm sure people do, but you shouldn't starve yourself when you're at work. You can't have all these huge, big, unhealthy meals either because you don't have time to eat a huge, involved meal. So, I mean, working a normal 9-to-5 job helped my eating habits a lot as well. It took me a while to realize that I was developing a problem, why I was developing a problem, and how stupid it was of me to develop that problem for myself. I had to consciously stop thinking about what Italians think is beautiful and what Americans think is beautiful and just see what I think of as beautiful. And honestly, what I see as beautiful is a healthy human being, a healthy, lively, happy human being. And that and anorexia just don't go together. That and eating disorders don't go together. In the end though, what is the point of me making this video? What is the point of me telling all of this? Like I said, I feel like it's a huge issue in this country, and I feel like I never see it talked about. I feel like I never see it confronted, and almost every day I see it ignored. Take it for what you will, but living in the Italian environment pushed me onto the verge of having an eating disorder. I've never said that out loud, but if I look back and I look back at my behaviors, that was an eating disorder. I think that starting a conversation and acknowledging that a problem exists is always the first step to solving or bettering, ameliorating that problem. If I could have my viewers take one message away from this video, it would just be that healthy is beautiful, and you should be aiming to be healthy if you want to be beautiful. If that message isn't enough, then I want to be the one to tell you that these unhealthy eating habits, this whole restricting your diet to lose weight, it's not a game, because you could be developing a much larger problem that will kill you. Don't do that to your friends, don't do that to your family, and most importantly, don't do that to yourself. I guess that's really all I can say through a camera, but I'm also going to leave a bunch of resources in the description box for people that think that they or somebody they know could be struggling with an eating disorder and are serious about moving forward past the problem and trying to take steps towards solving that problem, healing that illness. I think that's it. I don't think I have any more thing else to say. I will see you guys in my next one.